So if you've been listening to me to this point, there's a pretty good chance you already know about Music Entrepreneur HQ and some of the decisions that I had to make around it. And looking back, I think I would have pulled the plug on it much sooner, but there are obviously reasons why I didn't. And so I think that's what we're going to be looking at in this particular episode. And the first reason is because of, I think, the same thing that we all deal with sometimes, a very public failure. Did I want Music Entrepreneur HQ to be documented as something or known as something that had failed, something that I created and poured my blood, sweat, and tears into that just didn't quite find the footing that I was looking for? Don't get me wrong. I think it's all relative, right? It had traffic. It converted a certain number of sales. It attracted readers and sometimes converted them into subscribers or even buyers, which is incredible. And that's what we were looking to create with Music Entrepreneur HQ. It just never quite happened at the scale that we were looking to have it happen at, either because we had trouble growing it beyond a certain point or because of just adverse circumstances. Although, I'm not too quick to blame circumstances. I would say that there was botnet attacks, and so there were things that I did not know that happened in the background. And if we had staff or if we had experts and people that knew how to handle that kind of thing, I suppose, that kind of thing could have been dealt with. And now that I know that that's something that needs to be dealt with, I can put structures and people and resources in place to make sure that we handle those types of scenarios in the future. It's a lesson, right? Something I can learn, something I can grow from. I think that's the good news about any mistakes that's made is you learn from it and you can do better in the future. So number one reason is just hey, this sucks. We all have had failures. There's just no way to go through this life without ever having failed at anything. And it just so happens to be far more public than some other stuff might be, right? If you fail in private, no big deal. And then failing in public it's a completely different experience, right? And so that's one of the things that I had to face in pulling the plug on it. Number two, moving to a different site or a different platform or a different brand. You think you might have something on your hands when it's getting a certain amount of traffic and conversion sales, and then moving over to something entirely new or different could be risky. I guess I sort of had something in my back pocket, which is the fact that Content Marketing Musician, while not thriving, sort of did well on its own in that it kind of began to attract some traffic without really a whole lot of effort. There was no backlash around the brand. Even though I was thinking about maybe choosing a different brand, like the Renegade Musician, I also thought about keeping the Music Entrepreneur HQ brand. There was just this growing awareness that it needed to be, and it had to be something else. Content Marketing Musician had sort of been sitting in the background for a couple of years, and so at that point, I just finally decided, look, no one said they don't like it. No one said it's bad. So why don't we just go with Content Marketing Musician? All the stuff is there already. And another factor is, and I really think it ties right back into what I just said, is the work. How much do you need to move over in terms of content, or what do you want to move over? If you want to look at, we had 800, 900 posts on Music Entrepreneur HQ. We could have published a hell of a lot more than that. But even 800, 900 posts, you have to take inventory of that. Check which ones are getting the most traffic and decide whether it's worthwhile for you to transfer that over to your website. And that's going to be based on content that not just getting the most traffic, but maybe led to some conversions, that maybe led to some purchases. You don't want to hold on to everything, because especially if you're trying to erect something kind of new and have it perceived as new, but you also don't want to leave opportunity on the table, and sometimes making a complete inventory of that and figuring out which pieces to keep can be a really lengthy, tough job. But ultimately, pulling the plug would have freed up a lot of time. It would have freed up a lot of mental energies. It would have allowed me to focus on the creation of new classes and products and courses and books. So with all the potential upside that was always there, not like it wasn't present, but I think what I needed was more belief in myself, and that's what I cultivated over time, especially in the intensive leadership program I was taking. And so it can be really hard to know when to pull the plug sometimes, but I think the moment that you're really starting to get that feeling, and it may be subtle and it may not even be screaming out at you, but over time it's kind of just dripping at you, then you know it's time to pull the plug and start fresh. Because sometimes you can't do anything, especially with something that doesn't have a solid foundation. If it has a great foundation, you can always tear down some of the floors and rebuild them. But if it doesn't have the foundation that it needs or needed, good luck. I think starting fresh is the best thing you could do. So be mindful. Be aware of things that you should or you need to unplug to really create the space. Time, money, energy, mind space, resources, even team. What could you give up to free up more of your time and be able to focus on something that's really going to have the type of payoff that you're looking for?
Unlock the secrets to skyrocketing your productivity, boosting performance, and maximizing profits with my latest premium guide, the Productivity, Performance, and Profits Black Book. Tailored for independent artists and entrepreneurs, this comprehensive resource is your roadmap to turning ideas into reality. Say goodbye to abandoned projects collecting dust on your shelves or buried in your hard drives. It's time to bring your vision to life. Grab your free copy of the Productivity, Performance, and Profits Black Book now at davidandrewweeb.com/blackbook. That's WIEBE. Don't miss out on the key to unlocking your success.